Just taking a moment here, confirming in one moment, and we are live. Aloha and welcome, fellow mystics, seekers, and shifters, to another Paradigm Shift Central Circle discussion. My name is Brendon, aka Skull Babylon, Mystic Spider-Man, Wolf Shield. Thank you guys so much for joining in. I'm very excited for today's topic. Today's topic is how do we align with our life purpose? And we've actually got a nice full circle with us today. And I'm going to just show you guys on camera who we got with us. So for those of you in the Zoom room, bringing you guys up onto camera here. So wave to all the beautiful people of the internet. We've got Candice, we've got Brianna, we've got Semira, we've got Seye, and we've also got Kristen. And yeah, super excited to be able to dive into this. We'll just go over a quick little intention setting, quick little introduction. And again, special shout out to those of you in the YouTube chat. If you guys are on YouTube, if it's your first time here, drop a 333 in the chat. And yeah, just as a quick introduction, again, this is a broadcast that we do through Paradigm Shift Central. Every Tuesday, we do these circle discussions. We rotate through a variety of metaphysical topics. The recordings of these are on YouTube. You can also follow us on Spotify at Paradigm Shift Radio and listen to it as a podcast. What's cool about these events that we have through Paradigm Shift Circle is that you can actually join them on air. And the way how you do that, you go to paradigmshiftcentral.com, you start your trial membership, and then you can get access to the Zoom link through the membership portal. It's not that complicated. So if you guys want to do that while watching this broadcast, you could literally do it and join partway through. Or if you guys want to wait till next time, that's totally fine. But again, we got lots of upcoming events in the community. We got a solstice meditation coming up Wednesday, tomorrow at 10 p.m. EDT. And then we've also got a special flow tree workshop coming up on Thursday. That's a members only event. And that's where we're going to be practicing tapping into our creative freestyle, spoken word, song, all sorts of really cool stuff. So nonetheless, let's get into the focus of today's event, which is again, our circle discussion. And I'll just go over a quick introduction and intention. And then from there, we'll get right into the topic and we'll be done here probably about less than an hour. So let's see what we can get covered. So thank you again, everyone, for joining in. Quick note for all the people who are featured on air, you can find their Instagram in the YouTube info after the broadcast once I add it there. So with that said, before we get started, here are a few guidelines and reminders. Paradigm Shift Central Circles are an intentional, sacred space created to host inspirational, conscious conversations to nurture our spirits and build community. Circles are recorded and available to the public on YouTube and Spotify. You can join on air for Paradigm Shift Central Circles and other community events by setting up your membership on paradigmshiftcentral.com. Start your free trial today to participate in these and other events on air, including members-only events. Please respect the instructions of the facilitator of the circle. Please respect the intention of the space. Please respect your fellow members. To add to the circle, please blink your mute button or physically raise your hand and let the facilitator know you'd like to share. Please wait for the facilitator's prompt to speak. Circles generally go up to the top of the hour, and we'll conclude with gratitude at 5 minutes to the hour. Please tell your friends and invite others who may be interested in Paradigm Shift Central Circles. And thank you so much for joining, contributing, and with that said, enjoy. So, all right, let's get right into today's circle discussion. So I'm excited about this one. Again, with all these circle discussions, like as much as I could think about this ahead of time, I almost kind of like reserve it until we're on the broadcast. I just kind of like, once the broadcast is on, it's like kind of like turning on a faucet, and then it's just like, let's see what comes through in this moment. So diving into today's question, how do we align with our purpose? I'll just take a moment to practice answering, and then from there, I'll check in with you guys, and whoever wants to go next, we'll pass the talking stick around. So for me, how do we align with our life purpose? Now, it's interesting because literally just before this event started, I was like thinking to myself, and which is a good thing, right? You guys think to yourself, that's a thing that we do sometimes. But, you know, how do we align with our life purpose is an interesting question. But within that, there is another question. And part of that is also, how do we align with life's purpose, not even necessarily our life purpose. So within this, there's kind of like this meta level of perceiving things where it's like, what is the purpose of life? And not necessarily what is the meaning of life, but what is the purpose of life? And then on an individual level, what is our unique variation of that purpose? And I think when we start to explore that question, that will actually help us get to the topic and the insight of how we can align with our personal life purpose. So for me, you know, like what is life's purpose? I would say in a lot of ways, you know, life's purpose is to, I mean, again, this is like a question, this is big in itself, but life's purpose, part of life's purpose is to understand itself, is to experience, is to create, is to have moments of awe, to be able to like to self-reflect, to have joy, to fall in love, to be love. So I think, just listing off a couple of those things within that, we start to see, well, what is our purpose? And I think our individual purposes are all the same yet different, So I think there's kind of like this baseline where it's like, as individuals, as humans, as because maybe our life purpose is different from, say, the life purpose of like a dung beetle, right? Like, is the dung beetle's purpose to shift consciousness? Maybe it's teaching us some sort of deep animal totem lesson. But nonetheless, the dung beetle isn't necessarily going to like create art. And well, actually, that's not true. I wouldn't tell the dung beetle that what he's creating isn't art. He'd probably be insulted by that now that I think about it. As I'm discovering, maybe we aren't too different from the dung beetle, rolling our shit around and calling it art. But nonetheless, what I'm getting to, my point here is that I'll answer this real quick and then I'll pass it around. Our life purpose, how we align with it, because that's part of it. It's like, well, what's our life purpose? And then how do we align with it, right? So it's like kind of like two questions. But I think, again, like our life purpose is to be able to follow what makes our heart sing, to align ourselves with what we came here to do on a soul level, to help assist with the awakening of consciousness, to be able to help bring more magic into this world, and to be able to help alleviate suffering, to be able to embody peace, I would say, is a part of our purpose. So in short, how do we align with this? We align with it by talking about it, by exploring it through practice, through experimentation, and this will be something for later. I'll finish off right here. This is interesting. We find our life purpose by things not working out for us sometimes. You guys know what I'm talking about? It's like a little thing called dharma, where it's like you're going one way and then suddenly life's just like, pivot, like road, like fork in the road. Like, actually, that's not the direction you're supposed to go in. So sometimes, we find our life purpose by kind of like detouring and then finding our way back. So finding our way back to our own center. And then when we do that, the path reveals itself in some way. Anyways, put your hand up, whoever wants to go next. I'll pass the talk and stick around, and let's hear from some of the other eclectic minds that we have in today's circle. So whoever would like to go next, just go ahead and raise your hand and pass it over to Kristen. Anybody else will raise your hand, and I'll create a little queue here. Pass over to Candice after that. All right, with that said, we will pass it over to Kristen. And Kristen, thank you so much for joining. And when you're ready, you can go right ahead. How do we align with our life purpose? Welcome, Kristen.
Hello, Brendon and beautiful, beautiful, amazing souls. I'm so grateful to be here today and see your beautiful faces and have this amazing discussion. Thank you, Brendon. I love this topic because I think our life purpose is something that it's almost like it's its own journey in and of itself to understand what it is. And so aligning with it is being able to understand what it looks like for you. And so for me, that has been a lot of play and allowing myself to explore my curiosities and to hold non-judgment over what that looks like for me. So if one day I wake up and I feel really inspired to do something, I get curious about it. I say, why? What's the, what is my curiosity driving me forward? And I think the most important thing that I have found in aligning with a life purpose is being able to explore the parts of yourself that want to be expressed, and then understanding why you do that. So yeah, just allowing yourself to play around and see what works and try different things. Like really being able to work with music has been super helpful for me in aligning with life purpose and seeing that, sometimes we hold a lot of expectations on our bodies and our minds to be a particular way. And so music really gives us the opportunity to kind of move and express in a different way. So that's really helped for me to be able to connect with all the creative ideas that I've had moving forward. But those are just some of the things that have helped me. So thank you, Brendon. And I'm really looking forward to hearing what everybody else has to share.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Kristen. We'll keep passing talking around. Who wants to go after Candice? You guys just want to pass it over to Semira and then Brianna. All right, so Candice, if you're ready, go right ahead. Welcome, Candice.
Hi. I just want to say, when I think of purpose, I just want to reiterate what you said about different directions. I think it's really interesting and cool to go through life and not know direction all the time of the way to go.
Candice, are we able to, that's okay, yeah. It's all good? All right.
Why don't we come back to me?
I'll come back to you, Candice, no worries. All right, thank you, Candice. All right, Brianna, we can pass it over to you next, and Semira, we'll pass it over to you next, and then we'll hear from Brianna after that. So go ahead, Semira, welcome.
Hey guys, nice being here. Thanks for having me. So I don't know if there was a question exactly what it was, but I'm getting that we're talking about what is our life purpose.
How do we align? How do we align with our life purpose?
How do we align? Oh wow. Okay, so for me, it took me decades to finally realize what my life purpose was, even though it was already instilled in me since I was a child, right? So I think going back to what you said, Brendon, it's the Dharma thing. It's like we think it's one thing, and then over time, all these twists and turns and curveballs lead us to our life purpose. And sometimes we find out early on, and sometimes we find out in our 80s, right? So I would say a big part of discovering it and aligning with it is like removing all of the conditioning and all of the false things that we've been taught about like the nature of who we are. And going back to, who was it that said something about like play and music?
That's Kristen. Yep.
Kristen, yeah, like music and play and art, right? Like children are so good at tuning into like their true essence. And I'm sure you're learning this as a new father, right? Like you've been a father to a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old, so you understand that their imagination and curiosity is like a big part of like what we're here to do, is like to create through art and music. And what gets in the way of that is like the conditioning that society has placed on us. So I would say like a big part of aligning with our purpose is like removing those limiting beliefs and false doctrines and everything that we've learned in our adulthood. So once we get that out of the way, then we can tap back into our playful nature. And Brianna, you have a baby, it looks like, with you. So I don't know how much, I'm not a parent, right? But I've like worked with kids and I've like kind of raised my younger siblings and stuff. So I think that being around children is a great way to align with our purpose and like remember like who we really are and that we actually are divine. You know, they're closer to the divine than we actually give them credit for, I think. So that's what I would say.
Wonderful. Semira, that's wonderful. And again, just having this conversation here, like it's accomplishing exactly what I would hope for, which is, you know, putting together these different perspectives and it's sparking ideas. And I think what you said, it totally just opens up another way of approaching this conversation with where you said, where, you know, it's like, figuring out who we are is figuring out who we are not. And this was something that was said to me a long time ago. And it really, really has stuck with me. And yeah, absolutely. It brings, and I'll pass it to Brianna in a second. It kind of reminds me of that saying where it's like, if you judge a fish by its ability to fly, then it will never truly be who it is. Or it's I'm butchering it, but what is it like if you judge a fish by
or something like that?
Or something like that, something like that, like or something. Yeah, I don't know. But you guys know what it is. So I feel like we've all like, you know, either someone's like either programmed some sort of expectation. Sometimes that will happen, either like depending on your conditioning and your family and your upbringing. Sometimes people will say like, this is your life purpose. You're going to be a doctor when you're older, just like me. I'm going to imprint my expectations on you as a parent. You're going to do this. And then, you know, you kind of get stuck in this box. Or sometimes it's the opposite, where where you're surrounded by people and they're like, you're useless, you're dumb, you're never going to achieve anything. And then it's like you become what you're told, or at least it imprints on you. And then within that, it's just like, well, who am I really? Like, who do I want to be? Am I going to be what society is telling me I am, or is there something deeper? And I think for a lot of people, that's unfortunately, they don't cross past that threshold where they actually like, and that's a kind of a thing in itself where it's just like, man, it's like, are there people who aren't living out their life purpose? Because I don't think our life purpose is to be these small beings that, never truly learn how to sit with themselves and tap into their creativity. So that's where, out of these conversations, I would hope for all of us, we can discover our life purpose so that we can inspire others to do the same, because with that, aligning with our life purpose brings us into a deep place of joy and purpose, I guess. And I think, and I'll just say this last part, very simply put, if we're just like, well, what is my life purpose? What is my life purpose? Very simply put, find purpose in service. Like if you're trying to figure out your purpose, because that's the thing, right? Like your purpose, it may not be like this one thing, but if your purpose is service, then that means, you're kind of like moving from different professions, different creative expressions and things like that. And again, like within this, like the idea of service, I've talked about this before, and it's just like, well, what is our purpose? What is our purpose? What is our purpose? If we want to simplify it, and I've mentioned this before, but I just think it's so powerful and worth reiterating, especially for new people in the community. Our purpose individually, if you want one, if you want to align with this, is to help lead people back to the wisdom of the heart, to help lead people back to the wisdom of their heart, to help them come back to their heart. Because as people come back to their heart, like that's where it kind of opens them up to the intuition, which in itself kind of reveals to them the deeper levels of their purpose, which is very fascinating. Anyways, kind of went on there for a bit. Semira, I know you still got your microphone
Can
open.
I just add
go ahead.
Absolutely. Going back to what you said about like we want to instill in our kids what we think that they should do. And I think parenting is changing now, where parents, like new parents like you guys, are starting to realize the damage that does. And it reminds me of a poem that Khalil Gibran wrote. I think it's called "Your Children Are Not Your Children," or that's like the first line in the poem. But it really just talks about like children are the hopes and dreams of like tomorrow. So like the best thing that we can do for our inner child, as well as our children, right, is to envision like where we're headed as a collective, and then see like how we can contribute to that, right? Not based on what my mom needs or what your dad expects or whatever, but based on like where are we headed as a collective, and that's where we can make the most change. And that's what our purpose is really at the end of the day, connecting to our heart's true nature, right? So
very cool.
Just wanted to add that.
Awesome. Thank you, Semira. I'm sure that probably like sets up anything that we're, segue into whatever Brianna's going to say next. So Brianna, we'll pass over to you in a second. Who wants to go after Brianna? Just again, go ahead and put your hand up. I know we got Raini and Joan actually just joined. So Joan and Raini, if you guys are able to come on camera, just come on camera and kind of like put your hand up, and I can pass it over. I'll put you in the queue. Hi, Joan. Thank you so much for joining. And Raini, welcome as well, dude. So we'll pass over to Brianna, and then who wants Seye? Is your hand up? We'll pass over to Seye next. Yeah. Okay. And then from there, we'll pass it over to whoever. So with that said, Brianna, thank you so much for joining, passing it over to you. And when you're ready, how do we align with our life purpose?
Awesome. Everyone has been saying so many great things. I wanted to say that humans are unique in the sense that we are meaning-making creatures. And so we are probably one of a very few species that we know of that actually contemplates what our life purpose is. And Alfred Adler, a prominent psychologist, is the psychologist who coined that phrase, that humans are meaning-making creatures. And so what our life purpose is what we ascribe to it. So I liked what Brendon said about focusing on service if you don't necessarily know what your life purpose is, because through service, you'll find meaning. You'll find what your life means and what you can do. You'll find some sort of sense of autonomy within yourself, that you can accomplish certain things and that you can contribute to community, because humans are also tribal creatures. We get along with each other. We're supposed to be close knit with each other in tribal settings and community settings. And so our life if you're trying to align with your life purpose, taking that first step by understanding that you have that power to ascribe meaning to your own life. And what we mentioned earlier about, like, you know, sometimes you're going in one direction and then something happens and it turns out you have to go in another direction, and that your life has changed, your purpose has changed ever so slightly, and just acknowledging that. Now, in my personal practice, in order to discern and align with my life's purpose, I have gone back to the basics. So, like, going back to the idea that humans are natural creatures, right? Just like dolphins, monkeys, dogs, we all need to go back to that natural instinct of, how do I exist with nature? How can I, like, and tuning into those senses, breathing, using mindfulness practices to tune into your heartbeat and to really tune into what's going on in the present moment, so that you can be more aligned with your heart, be more aligned with your intuition, so that you can begin to discern for yourself what your life purpose is, and therefore take steps to align with it in whatever action that's necessary in order for us to really cultivate an inner understanding. And I liked what you were saying about children being the future and trying to connect with our inner child in order to help foster the children of the future. And because I think that that's also really important, because humans, because we're unique in the sense that we contemplate consciousness, I think that as a collective species, that is kind of our life's purpose, is to, you've heard this phrase, right? We're the universe experiencing itself and asking those questions. Now, there are probably other species that have contemplated this, like I'm sure elephants and dolphins have contemplated this. So we're unique in the sense that we do that. And so it's important to just allow ourselves to experience life and take it in, and try not to assign good or bad to those experiences, and just allow ourselves to have that experience. And from that practice, a purpose will emerge.
It's wonderful. Beautifully said, Brianna. I'm loving the discussion that we're creating right here. And with just keeping an eye on the time, we still got a good like half hour. So let's see what other wisdom we can put into the circle. Seye, we'll pass it over to you next, and then Joan, we'll pass it over to you after that. So Seye, when you're ready, thank you so much for joining. And go ahead. How do we align with your life purpose?
Yeah, it's so good to be here. And one of the things, the reasons why I feel aligned here is I've heard everybody talk, and it's now that I want to talk, I'm like, y'all have said all the things that I wanted to say, but in a way, if I now use my own words, I would say this. What I think about is aligning your own purpose is about recognizing what already is. Oftentimes we fight against life, but your purpose in life is life. I've used this example before, like, what does it mean to drink water? It's to hydrate. And what does it mean to hydrate? Is to drink water. And what is water? Drinking water is just to hydrate the body, and the body is mostly water, so yes, nice source. And so life is all about life, and life is all about the experiences in life, and those experiences lead you to create, because that's part of what life is by nature. And in with what you just said, Brendon, about service, when you're creating, at some point it becomes service. So I'm not able to see any separation between what life is and life itself, and even a separation between creation and life, because life creates and creation is life, and there's really no division in those things.
Wonderful. Thank you, Seye. Beautifully said. And special shout out to Natasha, who invited you in here. And again, aligning with our life purposes is a team effort sometimes. So quick plug, if you guys know other people that would be interested in Paradigm Shift Central, send them an invite, let them know so we can get more people into the circle. And yeah, again, just passing it over to Joan, I think, again, it's like aligning with our life purpose. It's very interesting because if you look at this, aligning with our life purpose, like it's like the difference between, like being able to have like the open heart versus a closed heart. Now, sometimes the heart will close and that's okay. And then we kind of like learn how to open it, and then it's the balance, everything like that. But again, it's like, it's just so interesting because, again, I think aligning with our life purpose, it can really be approached from a playful place. And it's hard to do that when our heart is closed. I feel like when our heart is closed, sometimes, it kind of like, it turns into like a mode of stagnation, but it's like our life purpose exists, kind of like outside of what we're familiar with, outside of the stagnation. It involves, it's literally the hero's journey is what I'm trying to say. So I think when we start drawing the parallels between the concept of the hero's journey in our life, it's like the hero's journey isn't to just stay, at home the entire time. It's like, no, they have to travel beyond the mountains. They have to go into the underworld. They have to like go this, and then thus in turn, they actually return back to the village, but they've transformed. So I think our life purpose is to kind of like discover this like golden version of ourself that's inside of ourself, to like nurture the seed of the hero, to nurture the seed of the guardian that's inside of ourselves, and to know that that's like there in the first place, and then to like help nurture others in doing so. Because a lot of people, they don't even know it's there. They don't even believe it. Anyways, Joan, we'll pass it over to you. So excited to be able to have you here. Welcome to the circle. How do we align with our life?
Brendon, I'm so happy to be here, first of all. I've been talking about life purpose for many, many, many years. Even in my chiropractic days, I used to say, I'm going to turn on your power so you can do your purpose this life. I mean, the same sentence that I've been using forever intuitively. So my work has always been to help people remember their life purpose. But how do you align to it? Very simple. You listen to that voice within, you listen to the guidance you get, and you say, yes. So when I was told to paint 33 angels, well, the first thing I said was, that's a lot of angels. That's a lot of painting. That's a lot of smelly oils. Okay. That was my first instinct. And then they said it again. They gave me 3 times. And the third time I said yes. But we get asked, our guides come through, the messages come through, and aligning with our destiny, our life purpose, all comes from saying yes to that voice within and trusting it. Because what I found out is when I did say yes to painting 33 angels, then they gave me more. And the more was even more aligned with my life purpose. And then when I painted those, they told me even more. So I say that the biggest thing is to say, yes, show me more. Help me align with my life purpose, help show it to me. But it's in our yes. It's in our willingness to say yes. And the other thing I want to say is I just got off an interview and they kind of asked me questions like this too. And about 10 years ago, I went to this palm reader and he said to me, Joan, you were supposed to be famous already. And my heart died. Okay, my heart broke. And then he said, well, it's going to come around a second time, but it won't be like had you said yes the first time. So that's what I'm going to say to all of you. What keeps you saying yes to that which you're being called to do? What keeps you from manifesting that? And once we and our life is all about training us and teaching us all those skills so we can actually do it. We came here fully equipped, a clipboard with your skills, with all the tools you need to be successful. Because the last thing I want you to know is if you weren't going to be successful in your life mission, you wouldn't have been chosen to come down here. Okay. There were a lot of people who volunteered to come down and help planet Earth. A lot of wannabes, but they only chose the best of the best. They chose those people, you, because they knew you were going to do it this life. So no one is lost.
Beautifully said. Thank you. Thank you so much, Joan, for being here and for adding your wisdom to the circle. Again, for everyone here, I'll post the Instagram links for everyone into the Zoom and into the YouTube so you guys can connect, and definitely encourage you to do that. Let me just check in. Raini, did you want to go next? I can pass it over to you next if you're feeling called to jump in.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, dude. You're in the sauna right now?
Yeah.
Cool.
I just realized we're going live. I totally forgot about it.
No worries, dude. Well, I'll pass it over to you. How do we align with our life purpose, dude? Off the top of your head, from your heart.
How do we align with our life purpose? I mean, I gotta say it probably looks different for everybody, but it's like a journey. There's no first step or anything like that. You just kind of, I imagine, can only speak for myself, but you realize that things aren't serving you and the world's a little screwed up, and you got to find out what does serve you and imagine what it you got to heal yourself with these things, and hopefully imagine that other people would be healed by these things and help them with these same tools that you learn, or these insights that you gain through trying to heal yourself, I guess. It's kind of funny. I'm in a sauna. I'm not necessarily saying everybody needs to go in saunas and do shit like that, but me personally, I like to look at humanity as like not very different from bees, but we're bees that stopped realizing that we have a relationship with flowering plants. So we're like,
oh, I think his connection might have dropped out there. We'll give it a second. If Rainey's able to jump back in, we'll pass it right back to him. But yeah, that's an interesting point. Let's just kind of continue with what Rainey was saying there, where again, you know, like part of our life purpose is to kind of like remember the place that humans play within this bigger ecosystem, you know, within this bigger environment. Because again, it's like, is the purpose of the humans to like, you know, suck up all the oil and cut down all the trees and to leave garbage everywhere? Probably not, right? So it's just kind of like, I think at the heart of finding our purpose is to be able to know and understand, but also seek to discover how to be able to find a purpose that is harmonious, that is holistic, that is something that is, again, nurturing the environment, that is more about giving than taking. Like, it's interesting because I'm sure there are, you know, people out there who are like moguls of corporations and stuff like that, and it's kind of like weird where it's just kind of like, why was their life purpose to be like the CEO of a company that's destroying the earth? Like what's like, there's some interesting karma and dharma going on there, and that's probably a topic for another day. But you know, there are others of us who, like Rainey was saying, like I feel our purpose is to collectively bring in this energy of healing, and again, to be able to lead by example. Like, that's such a powerful thing for us to be able to do, and as we said, like, as we heal ourselves, we heal the world. So I think, you know, I'll just say this and then we'll open it up, so whoever wants to go next, just go ahead and put your hand up and I'll create a queue again. But I think a big thing that I'm hearing here within this discussion is, again, you know, kind of like part of finding our purpose is understanding that sometimes there's like almost kind of like things between us and our purpose. I think of our purpose as being, again, kind of like the flow of energy that is arriving to us. And sometimes there can be kind of like blockages. You know, I've used this metaphor before, kind of like a stream in a river. It gets filled up with garbage, it gets filled up with gunk. So when we kind of like do the work where it's like, in order to be able to get to the further stages, you know, like our purpose is kind of like in chapters. Like the first few chapters, or whatever chapter you're on right now, might just be to clean up your river. And then you don't even fully know like what's going to happen after that, but you just know that's where you start on kind of like this internal process of, again, kind of removing the blockages. And this could be, again, you know, kind of like this could literally be your diet, this could be your practices, your habits, your social environments, your technological relationships, whatever the case may be, and really just kind of like bringing yourself more naturally into a line with the purpose of your nature, the nature of your purpose, to kind of like live in a more kind of like synergistic steward relationship between yourself and the earth and your body, and to treat your body with respect. And then I think as you do that, as Joan was saying, you know, part of our purpose, I feel, is to be, again, kind of conduits of consciousness, and kind of like almost like to clean up our radar dish so that we can receive those messages from spirit. And then from there, like, that's where we kind of move into the other stages of our purpose, where it's like, you've done the work, your vessel is sharp, your vessel is clean, it's still work to be done, it's always work to be done, but now's the next step. Now it's like, here's your mission, here's your task. And so it's like, sometimes our purpose is almost as if we're kind of like agents of consciousness, where it's just like reporting in for duty. What's the mission? They're like, go do free hugs today. And I'm like, I'm on it. And then I like go do free hugs, and then I do a free hug with someone, and then it like changed their life, right? And it makes their day. And it creates a ripple effect, right? And then the next day it's like create that cool post on Instagram, like, okay, right? So it's like being able to, as Joan was saying, get good at listening to our intuition. And that's going to be a topic that we'll explore more here within other future circle discussions as well. Again, just kind of keep an eye on the time. We got about like at least like 20 minutes, so enough time to still go around the circle. So whoever wants to go next, we can pass over to you. I know Raini was just jumping back in, so we can pass it over to Raini there as well. Raini, I was kind of continuing off where you left off and stuff like that, but feel free to just pick up where you were going with your thought if you're ready to do so.
Sure, man. Sorry, phone overheated, obviously.
Oh, wow. No worries.
But I've got a company in here, so I'll have to.
We'll catch up with you another time, dude.
Later.
All right. Good seeing you, Raini. Take care, man.
Later.
All right. Okay, we'll keep things going here. So again, who wants to just kind of riff it? And again, in this moment, just kind of, again, don't think, try not to be like too much in your head. If you're just like, well, I don't know what to say, that's okay. Just say yes, as Joan was saying, and then allow it to come through. Joan, we'll pass over to you, and then Kristen, and then Brianna.
All right.
Yeah, go for it.
So listen, guys, everyone has a life purpose. You came down here for a reason. And if you're listening to this, you probably came down because a call went down for Planet Earth that said, Planet Earth's in trouble, come on down. God, you may have been here hundreds of lifetimes already. So honestly, you came down here with a mission, and your mission is first to start to remember. And the way you start to remember is to look at all the things you love to do, whether you're paid or not. That's part of what your fabric and your thread is. It's actually not so complex. So I'm a person that actually likes to love on people. When I'm out in the world, I intuitively make them feel better. Well, all those years of struggling for my purpose, and there it was. It was like, oh, your purpose, you help people feel better. You help them remember. It's probably that thing, guys, that you're actually so good at already that you think it has to be more than that. So take a peek at how you support yourself and others. And if you have to ask everyone else and say, what do you like about me? Those are part of your life purpose tools, your toolkit that you came in to do whatever this mission is that you think is out here. But I'm telling you, you all came in to hold the light. And that is a number one primary. It's how you hold it and what you do with the result of it, whether you do shows like Brendon or magic or, tweak people, you have that same kind of mission to support humanity and yourself in our ascension process. So it is.
Beautifully said, Joan. Again, another quote, I might have said this earlier, but just to reiterate, a quote that someone else said to me, and it just really stuck with me: follow what makes your heart sing. So what Joan was saying, and if you're not sure what that is, like, sit with it. And then also begin exploring it, play it, try new things. Oh, I didn't even know I was into like playing a guitar until I picked it up because someone told me I shouldn't. So, it's like find those things that you haven't explored yet, and then like really allow yourself to just kind of like see how it makes you feel and then follow the feelings. So Kristen, we'll pass over to you, and then Brianna, and then anybody else. Again, just put your hand up and we'll keep things going here. Go ahead, Kristen.
I just want to continue what both you and Joan just said, and like really listening to your heart on what it is that you feel called to do. Like, like Joan said, she was called to paint all of these angels. And at first it was overwhelming. And, the initial reaction may be a little bit different than what you might think the long term would be. And so understanding that it's a process, and one step is going to get you to the next step. And you don't always need to know what that end process looks like, but just trusting each step you take is going to get you to where you need to go. And if it feels right, if you feel called to do it, then trust that you have everything you need to be successful as you go, and that you will be supported along the way with your inspiration and your guidance. And, the universe really does provide, especially whenever you are aligning with that life purpose. So just play, trust, and allow yourself to grow. And I think for me, the biggest helpful, most beautiful thing I have learned is that it really does evolve as you grow. And so learning to allow yourself to release those parts of you, like I keep coming back to the painting project, like it might have been hard when you were finished with all those angels to be like, wow, this is really done. Like, okay, now, what's the next what's the next thing that I move to, you know, and you had to probably foster space for yourself to be like, release that and open up for the new project to come in. So I just think it's really important that you allow yourself to grow in a way that works best for you, and not to judge your journey compared to anybody else's, because we all have different things that we are here to do. So just trust that you're where you're meant to be and you're moving exactly how you should. And yeah, thank you all so much. This has been really enlightening.
Awesome. Thank you, Kristen. We'll pass over to Brianna. One thing I just want to say, we're here while it's still hot on my mind. I love, again, kind of like thinking about, you know, using metaphors in video games and fantasy and stuff like that, where it's just like, all of us kind of have like a different like class, where it's just like, it's like you got the mage, you got the healer, you got the tank, the archer, and all these things. So again, you know, it's kind of like taking inspiration from other people and being like, whoa, they're doing something awesome, and then, you know, you still doing your own thing that's awesome, even though it may be different. And that's the thing, like, we don't all need to be the same thing. Like, that's the purpose of this, is so that we can all kind of like reach different corners of the world, for us to be able to shine our light in like different little crevices of shadow, because Brianna's light is going to reach places that my light will never reach, and my light will reach places that Kristen's will never reach. But lo and behold, as we're all kind of stepping into this illumination across the land sort of thing, right? So kind of like hold that visual, and again, kind of like start playing with that archetype of like, well, what character am I? Who are you creating yourself into, right? Brianna, we'll pass over to you, and then anybody else who wants to go next, again, just keeping an eye on the time, we're close. Candice, we'll pass over to you after Brianna. Go ahead, Brianna.
So it's great that you were talking about that light, and that we're talking about like, what is our purpose? So my motto is stay healthy, stay light, and don't give up the fight. And the don't give up the fight part is really important, because whenever I'm going through a depressive period, I can't give up on myself. I can't give up on searching for that life purpose. You know, it's always in our darkest moments when something bad happens to us that we think to ourselves like, God, what is my purpose? Like, why am I even here? And so it's important to remember to not give up on yourself. And I really liked that what Joan said, like, it's going to stick in my head forever now, about like, it's not going to be the same as if you had said yes the first time, but that means that you have an opportunity to say yes again. So to tune into your intuition again, don't give up, tune in again, and say yes that second time. Say yes when they ask a third time, which now I'm thinking to myself, well, maybe I should write that book that the universe keeps saying, write that book, you know? And I keep going, oh, but I have to do that. Just like Joan was saying, like, oh, that's a lot of angels. Like, man, that's a lot of writing, you know, but it's saying yes and not giving up on yourself and allowing the universe to work through you in that way. That's just what I wanted to channel for all of you high vibe humans who are tuned in, just to know that in your darkest moment, that's probably when you're going to think, what is my life purpose? So don't give up on yourself in your darkest moment. Just know that whatever you choose to do in that moment is a very powerful act. So even if you're having a hard time getting out of bed, if you're having a hard time starting that new diet, you know, eating healthy, don't give up on yourself. You know, allow yourself that room for failure, but give yourself room to grow as well. Give yourself that opportunity to succeed.
Wonderful, Brianna. Thank you so much. Candice, we'll pass over to you, and then there's a couple things I was going to say. Oh, let me just say this real quick in response to Brianna, though. Brianna, your idea of writing a book, planting the seed for you, that could totally be something that you could create as a secret shift journal on Paradigm Shift Central and release in chapters over time. Because like, that's what it's there for. So if that makes it easier for you, be like one chapter at a time. And what I was just going to say here real quick, it's like, you know, sometimes your purpose is literally just one step, that next step. You know, sometimes if we're trying to think like 40 steps ahead, like that can be overwhelming, but just focus on the next step, the next breath. Your purpose is this breath right here. So just a little seed though, I'll plant this because there was an interesting comment on TikTok that I saw, and a person left a comment and said, why should we have a purpose? And this is an interesting idea, not to say we shouldn't, but why should we have a purpose? But anyways, Candice, we'll pass over to you. We'll keep an eye on the clock, and then we'll get close to wrapping it up in the next little bit. Candice, when you're ready, thank you so much and welcome back.
I just wanted to say that I think purpose is like living in the surprise and like trusting your higher self and guides to direct your purpose, and having them surprise you, because I think just letting the higher light of yourself to design purpose is really cool, because it can change paradoxic every moment and every like twist and turn I do. It's cool.
Wonderfully said. Thank you, Candice. Absolutely. Again, it goes back to the idea of shared before, where it's like, like fall in love with the mystery of the unknown. But again, a big theme of trust has really been coming up. And that's definitely something that I resonate where, sometimes it's like, again, things won't go to plan and it's totally putting you in through a whirlwind. But within that, it's like what is your relationship to trust in that moment? But it's like, it's trust with a balance of, again, kind of like still finding a place of taking action or some sort of action or something like that, or having the trust to kind of like, like move forward even when it feels like things are moving against you, sort of thing. It's different. It's relative to every situation. Anyway, team, let's get into closing thoughts, and then we'll finish off with some gratitude, and then we'll be done for today. So anybody else who just wants to share one more time, we'll go around the circle. So whoever wants to go next, again, just kind of put your hand up, and then we'll be close to wrapping it up today. And this has been a wonderful conversation. Semira, I'll pass it over to you next. Go ahead, Semira.
I just wanted to add real quick that a big part of aligning with our purpose is also to surround ourselves with people who are already doing that or aspiring to do that. So these types of circles and communities, and thank you, Brendon, for holding these meetings, because I think sometimes we underestimate the power of like connecting with those that are working towards the same goal. And for me, finding this kind of tribe and this kind of people that are motivated to make a difference does take me out of like the rut when I'm feeling like, oh, I can't do this, or it's just too much for one person. And then it reminds me that I'm not alone and there are others like that too. So yeah, I just think that that's a big part of aligning with our purpose, is connecting with others who are also on that path. So
it's wonderful. Thank you, Semira, and thank you for being a part of this. And absolutely, like the power of community. Again, within this, it's like for those of us who have kind of had this connection with community, or again, like this higher conscious perspective, like it's very interesting to kind of go from this shift to kind of realize that there's a bigger story and we have a place within it. Like a lot of people, they kind of think it's like, oh, like life is just about, like having a job, paying bills, doing taxes, working for the man, being miserable, watching TV, stuff like that. But again, like there's a bigger layer to this. There's another dimension. There's another shift in consciousness. And this is where much of like what Joan talks about much time and time again, where it's like literally, like we are multidimensional beings having this human experience who have come here on earth at this very interesting time to be able to play a role of stepping into our guardianship and help accelerate the shift in consciousness. Like that would be like the tagline on the front of the movie poster or something like that. Like, like 144,000 plus million light workers coming here to change the world, and and time was on their side, sort of thing. So it's like part of our purpose is kind of knowing that there's a higher calling for us to be able to help change the world, going back to stuff that even like Gandhi and Buddha were talking about, choose to be the peace you wish to see in the world, all of those things. But then also within that, it's extending that branch and creating those connections of community that are helping other people reach those moments where they can see that themselves, where they can have that aha moment, where they can feel it even before they contextually understand it. They can feel it and they can be like, whoa, like this person, like there's something more here. And just reading what Raini was saying, just because they can't talk right now, but they can type. They say, finding my purpose was like following a thread down a rabbit hole of reconnecting with nature. We are like bees who forgot about the flowers and honey and hives. So sometimes we have to find our reconnection to nature and the universe ourselves, and then show and tell the world about the flower, nectar, and community. Exactly, right? So like part of our purpose can be like to be a voice for the voiceless, to be a voice for nature, to be a voice for spirit, whatever this means to you, so to speak. And again, I think as we do that, knowing that the synchronicity will kind of guide us and connect us with others, and then we plant seeds. We are guardians and gardeners. So what seeds are we planting, right? So again, kind of moving things into a call to action here for everyone here. Again, we do these discussions not just to have them, but to reflect on them, and then to embody them, and then to be able to bring it into our field so that we can enact on it, and so that we can live it, so that we can live our life purpose. And again, that life purpose, it can be different every day. And I will just say, sometimes our life purpose, it's not about being a celebrity. It's not about being this. It's not about, being known by 100 people and everything like that. Sometimes the purpose can be very personal. The purpose is knowing thyself. And then again, taking a moment here to just be able to honor, I see Brianna here, and it's just like the purpose. Sometimes a person's purpose can be like being a mother, like that is a purpose. Being a sibling, being a daughter, being an aunt, being an uncle, having a good relation, cultivating those good relations, right? So I think, being aware of what our relationships are like with our friends, with our families, with our community, and just kind of inviting in, like how can we continue to build those in strong ways, and then knowing that out of that, like out of the village comes a higher purpose. So there's like the purpose of the individual, there's a purpose of the individual bee, but then there's a purpose of the hive, right? So it's like, what are we creating as a hive here? So it's kind of interesting to compound our purposes and work together and see what we create. Okay, again, closing thoughts here. This has been awesome. Joan, I'll pass it over to you. Yes.
So just a really quick thought. I want to remind everyone that we are coming through some of the most difficult times in human history. The last few years have been really a grand initiation, both personally and collectively. So for you yourself, how you handle the last few years and even coming out, know that we were born for this. You're here specifically now to be through the time that in 10 years, you're going to tell your children, this is what I did through that great unraveling. And so we're here for that. And so, you use that, know that you're not to be lost in it. You are here to thrive here during these times and to go through your own personal mastery. And so it is.
And so it is. Beautiful. All right, team, let's just go around one more time. Any closing thoughts and gratitude? So anybody else? Brianna, Candice, Seye, Semira, we'll give a chance to pass over to you guys. Candice, go right ahead. Yeah.
I just wanted to reiterate that every moment is a true gift in itself, and it unfolds in a recreation, and I think it's really important to just be in the space of allowing the creation of the new life, allow it to open, express itself. Because when I think of the new era or the new world that we're being born into or tapping into, this is the whole purpose of what it's all about. Being in the moment, being in the present, being in the now. That's my message.
Thank you so much, Candice. Beautifully said. Yeah, it's again, there's so much still to be able to talk about, and I think there's so much wisdom here. So again, just finish off here. Anybody else who just wanted to add in closing thoughts and gratitude, and then we'll finish it off. And Yeah, I know Brianna wants to do a group photo, so we can do a group photo for it and stuff here. Even though Kristen left, and I'm not sure if Raini's in here, so that's all right. Anybody else would like to be able to add in? And if not, if we feel complete, then I will conclude the circle here. So yeah, with that said, thank you so much, everyone, for being here, for being tuned in, for listening to today's Paradigm Shift Central Circle discussion. Again, I think within the theme of purpose, listening is such an important part. Listening to ourselves, listening to others, listening to the wisdom, listening to our heart, listening to our intuition. So thank you, whoever you are, who's watching this, who's listening to this. Thank you for listening, for being a part of this conversation, and for allowing whatever has come through to you to have perhaps like nurtured the seed within your heart, and then for you to be able to continue this conversation. And as always, we encourage you to do that. Take this topic, go ask someone else about it. Hey, how do we align with our life purpose? What's the purpose of life? Go talk to someone, see what they say, allow spirit to kind of just like have these discussions, and for consciousness to evolve as a result of it. So yeah, this has been an awesome discussion. Thank you guys so much. We'll just wrap it up here with some closing notes. Reminder, Paradigm Shift Circle discussions, we do these every Tuesday at 5 p.m. EDT. So if you guys are here this week, you're welcome back to join next week. And for those of you who may be listening to this in the future and you're eager to be able to join on air for this and other events, go to paradigmshiftcentral.com, start your trial membership there, and that will give you access to the members portal where you can access the Zoom events. And again, those are including our global meditations that we got on Wednesdays. Those are broadcast to the public. And then on Thursdays, we have our members only event. And again, this Thursday, we have our Flow True workshops. That's where we'll be really practicing some fun things with spoken words, spoken poetry, spoken word, freestyle, song, light language, all that stuff. So I hope that some of the people here might be able to join us for that. And yeah, again, all the info is at paradigmshiftcentral.com. Thank you to our members. Thank you to our supporters. You guys help make this possible. If you guys want to get involved as a creator, there is the option there in the membership. And if you ever have any questions, just send me a direct message on Instagram, and I'd be happy to be able to get you all set up there. So yeah, that's a wrap for today. So let's just do a quick little everybody up on camera, and I'll kind of do a picture as we're saying goodbye to everyone. So say like, farewell everyone. I'm not sure. Oh, Joan dropped out. That's all right. Bye everybody. We love you guys. All right, I think I got it there. Awesome. All right. Thank you guys so much. Go ahead. You guys can unmute yourself. We'll see you guys at the next circle discussion. Have a beautiful day. Bye everyone. Bye everyone. We love you guys.
Bye everyone.
Yeah.
All right. Good job, team. Thanks again.
Bye.